Jaws for the NES by the infamous L. Jan and Westone, released in the fall of '87, based on the fourth film, released not long before the game. You thought it was going to be based on the entire franchise? Think again. As for the game itself, you pilot a boat and take control of its diver in between. So let's pop this shit in and give it a whirl, eh? So the gameplay starts out whenever you bump into random bodies of water. The team encounters all sorts of hostile sea creatures, such as stingrays, jellyfish, and baby sharks. And after killing them, you get to collect crabs, which increase the diver's speed, stars for bonus points, and conch shells for currency. Of course, you need at least 5 in order to progress. In addition, if you kill a certain number of baby sharks, if just one in most cases, it triggers a bonus stage where you pilot a horizontal traveling airplane. Just push the D-pad in the direction it travels to adjust its speed, left or right, and destroy as much of the jellyfish as possible in the style of Namco Bandai's Galaga to accumulate more points and conch shells. If you so much as bump into any hostile sea creature whatsoever, your ass is as good as done for. Not only do you end up losing a life, half your conch shells, if you've collected any, are gone. Your Jaws tracking receiver system gets taken away if you have it. Your attack power level gets demoted by 1 if you've increased any, and Jaws' power automatically replenishes, that is if you're fighting him. And I'll get to both of those in a moment. Once you've collected enough conch shells, you can visit marina ports to stock up on a receiver to track Jaws' location, and every constant visit thereafter awards you an attack power level increase. Take note, the maximum power level is 9, beyond which point you're awarded an extra strobe for the final battle. A submarine, depending on your progress, or once in a rare blue moon, can also be encountered, giving the player awesome upgrades and features beyond belief. You know, depth charges, torpedoes, less inertia than even the diver himself. The only downside being is that the submarine has a fragile texture and build. If the submarine collides with any enemy whatsoever, the diver will pop out. As for Jaws, he can easily be confronted by either bumping into his trademark dorsal fin or hitting a body of water in order to eventually spot him, even without the tracking receiver. Upon confronting him via contact with his trademark dorsal fin, you get to pilot the boat for a brief period of time, awarding yourself with a head start by landing some bombs on the great white motherfucker until he collides into the boat, releasing the diver. Therefore, everything's all downhill from here depending on the diver's attack power level. So if it's 3 or higher, more power to you, no pun intended. Once you've managed to lower Jaws' energy all the way, the last part of the game switches to an FPS mode where the boat targets him. If I were you, I'd be aware of his tricky, unpredictable as hell movements. And as he approaches, your spear's strobe, device aim, and timing have got to be dead on, and I do mean dead fucking on. If you so much as run out of strobe charges, or waste too much time landing a final blow, which isn't always the case, guess what? You have to murder the living hell out of that great white goddamn son of a bitch, all the way from scratch! Yeah, on your fucking great white ass, biatch! But once you beat him, expect very little, if somewhat substantial, satisfaction. In terms of music and sound, upon starting the game, you can hear John Williams' popular theme in chiptune form. As for the rest of the soundtrack, it's hardly justifiable to speculate on given its age. And don't get me started on the annoying as hell sound effects after at least 5 to 6 minutes of play. I mean, talk about a recipe for ear rape! Well, maybe it's not that bad, but you get my drift. As for the gameplay, despite the decent presentation being provided in each scene, they definitely give the player a one-way ticket to Snoresville. Regardless of how far you travel, the chances of bumping into random hostile sea life are about God knows how many to 1. Also, battling Jaws is a major pain in the ass, because patience and constant button mashing are required, in which case I highly recommend a turbo controller, like a Max or an Advantage, to prevent CTS, and I mean very serious CTS. And it can really send your Mach 5 into the red zone like never before when he gets about 1/5 of his energy restored in between each and every undersea confrontation. In terms of graphics, at first, one might view the 8-bit graphics and detail as third-rate and outdated, in which case I say bullshit. But the design of the game is actually decent looking and well done. The exact same could be said with the animations of not only the diver, but most of the sea creatures themselves for sure. As for Jaws himself, I wish he could have improved a little bit in-game, not just in the title screen. He looks alright. But in-game, what the fuck? But nonetheless, in all seriousness, Westone and LGN did give him a decent recognizable look to boot. As for fun factor and replayability, as short and straightforward as this game is, expect a high octane frustration level, because the underwater scenes can get repetitive after a while. Even as you level up and progress your way towards facing the title antagonist, it's still decent even to this day. Final verdict on Jaws, despite some of the cons I may have pointed out, it's still a tolerable, if somewhat lukewarm game. Even having pointed that out, what a complete fucking disgrace to Benchley and Spielberg's, not to mention that of the insufferable Great White Shark's legacy. Therefore, my advice is to avoid this mediocre as hell game like the Spanish Inquisition. Till then, this is the Hardcore Retro God signing off.